All right, welcome guys. We're going to talk about writing an offer and how to do that. So, if you're in your loop, we're going to go to add a document, templates, and we're going to go to MA Buyer, and you can use a contract to purchase right here. All right, contract to purchase, and I'm going to copy that into the loop. And now that it's copied, I can go directly into it. All right, so we're typing in the client's name. I'm using Bobby Fisher here. Owner on record, I just like to reiterate that they can draw out exactly who the owners of record are in the purchase and sales, but this is good enough for an offer. The name of the licensee, so that is going to be you. So right here, you're going to put your information. If you are the buyer agent affiliated with, you're going to put the name of the brokerage here. All right. So for all my Cam Fam agents, you know that you're going to type in uh, all right, and I'm representing them as a buyer, name of the client. Okay, so the client's name is going to be same as above. And the buyer offers to purchase the property described as nice and easy. So this is going to be, I don't know, let's call it 67 Main Street. And that's going to be, and you could always make these a little bit bigger. Actually, we'll use that second line. So 67 Main Street, and let's just say that is in Peabody. Can't type today. Introduced by Cameron Prestige. Yeah, so I'm gonna put my name here. And the price, the purchase price, what is this purchase price going to be? Of course, the amount that you're offering. So type that in right here. I'm going to put a nice clean $1.2 million. First deposit can be anything. The first and second deposit, please don't mistake this for a down payment. The deposit is not necessarily the down payment. Sometimes it does equate to being the down payment. Other times it doesn't. So if your buyer is using an FHA loan and 3.5% is the total that they're actually putting down on the property, then yeah, 3.5 is going to be the first and second deposit. Same thing for if they're putting down 5%. However, we like to see the first and second deposit. We traditionally, it's nice to have that equal 5% between the first and second deposit. The reason for that was always that can pay out the agents involved in the transaction. If the escrow is holding 5% and the commission total is 5% between the buyer and seller agent, then it's a nice clean sort of distribution to the agents from that escrow. But there could be excess funds if the commission doesn't total that total amount. So either way, it doesn't matter. You'll get paid as an agent. So don't feel like if your commission's not in escrow, you won't get paid. You will. The attorney can always cut you a check. But that's why we like to see that 5%. But either way, again, traditionally, first deposit is typically $1,000. We're seeing that bumped up now to $2,500, $5,000, just to show the strength of your buyer. And this is to be delivered upon acceptance. The second one, if we are putting 5%, then just do the math. So I'm not a human calculator. I have a calculator in my hand always. So, and you do too if you have an iPhone. 5%, $60,000. So if we wanted these two to equal 5%, $59,000 would be the second deposit. Okay. That doesn't have to be the case. If you want to put 1,000 for the first and 50,000 for the second or 30,000 for the second, that's between you and the buyer. All right. Just know that this would be sort of a clean looking offer. And this is where you get some agents talking about, well, we accepted an offer and it had better terms. If you have the same price, it's because maybe they had a heftier first deposit or second deposit and it was just cleaner to them. Compensation of the buyer broker. If you're looking to get paid from the seller, which you should be looking to get paid from the seller if you're a buyer, then this is where you're going to put your fee. So I'm going to put 2.5% here, and then this is there is no offer of compensation made to the listing broker, to the buyer's broker, or that offer was rejected to the buyer's joker or that offer was rejected. Yeah, this is independent. If you have another commission being offered to you outside of that, then this is where you would list it. Okay. Okay. Duration of the offer. Duration of the offer is going to be how long is this offer good for? So, nice courtesy is 24 hours. So, if I'm submitting an offer right now, I want to allow the other side 24 hours from the time that I submit an offer. Now, that can be played around with depending on how you want to negotiate a deal. Let's just say there's an open house tomorrow and the open house is at 11 a.m. tomorrow. I might want to get my offer accepted before the open house. So maybe I'm submitting the offer now and I'm putting a little bit of a tighter window just so I can hear an answer before the open house. And I'll let the other side know that, like, hey, look, we're trying to get this done before the open house. Like, can we get this signed, sealed, and delivered before the open house? That way, my buyers could feel good, your sellers could feel good, whatever. So that's where you would put the duration. So I'm just going to put 5 p.m. and I'm going to put tomorrow's date. Okay. So that's there. The purchase and sales. So this is where things can kind of get a little, to me, like a little out of place. So I like to like do things in the order of the transaction. The offer is first on getting the offer accepted. If the offer gets accepted, you don't jump right to the purchase and sales. You go to the inspection. So the inspection, which you have to put a date. Now, the seller or the buyer rather doesn't have to perform the home inspection, but they should still be allowed the time frame to do one. So, and that cannot be discussed with the other side as far as like, yeah, I know we have an inspection time frame in here, but my buyer's not going to do one anyway. Don't do that. Just it's in there. If your buyer wants to do one, let them do one. If they don't, they don't. But that's not part of the negotiating process anymore. So I like 7 day period or 5 day period. So if the offer gets accepted tomorrow, I would say, the 16th is a good time. They should be able to get that done. These two items are going to say in the buyer's sole discretion, they can walk away from the deal if they don't like whatever with the home inspection versus an estimated cost repairs exceeding a certain amount. So if I'm plugging a number in there, that has to be reasonable. The date also has to be reasonable too. You're like, oh, Chris, I know we're not going to do an open house. I'm just going to put a 1 day home inspection contingency. It's not reasonable. A violation. So you get flagged for that. Might get your license revoked. So don't do that. Do a reasonable time. I think 5 to 7 days is reasonable. Same thing here. This estimated cost repair needs to exceed a certain amount in order for your buyers to withdraw from the agreement. That needs to be reasonable. So if we're at a $1.2 million house and I put the repairs need to exceed $1 million, that's pretty much the value of the house. That's not reasonable. So I might say, $20,000, meaning, or $10,000. $10,000 is probably a nice benchmark, basically saying that if there's little things that come up, my buyer is still moving forward unless the cost exceed 10 grand. All right. So once we do that, and this is why I kind of skip around just because how my own mind works. After the inspection, the purchase and sales can be done then. So now that I have the date for the inspection, I can plug in a date for the purchase and sale. So if the date is the 16th, we can do a purchase and sales for that Monday. I like to have a couple of days in between the inspection and the purchase and sales, just in case things need to be negotiated. I guess a day is fine too. So let's go ahead and go back to the 17th to get that purchase and sales wrapped up. And I'm going to go ahead and put 7 p.m. I used to put 5 p.m., 2 p.m., and realize really quick that most attorneys work last minute. If you're an attorney listening to this, yes, you work last minute all the way up until the purchase and sales needs to be executed. So I am talking about you. My bad. Kind of don't care. But 7 p.m., just because I know that things are still being discussed between the attorneys all the way up until the 11th hour. So it gives it time to be executed and time stamped prior than 7 p.m. All right, so now that we have that, the purchase and sales, excuse me, what's next? It's the inspection contingent. I'm sorry, not the inspection contingency, but the mortgage contingency. Usually 30 days from the purchase and sales to the mortgage contingency is a good time frame. Unless you want to accelerate it, just make sure that you get with your lender, your buyer's lender, and make sure that they can actually fulfill the date. Buyer lenders are always trying to be aggressive. And if you're a lender listening to this, again, I kind of don't care. It's the truth. Sometimes you guys overpromise and underdeliver. So I don't want to necessarily ask for all these extensions. So if the purchase and sales is signed on April 17th, May 17th, which in this case is a Sunday, so I'm going to bump that to the 18th. So May 18th would be a nice window of time for them to get the appraisal back and do everything they need to do on their end so they can approve the loan. Now, unless you work with a lender who's really experienced and can fulfill a sooner date, then okay, so be it. Do that. But this is a typical standard date where you really don't even need to ask the lender. Every lender should be able to fulfill this date. The mortgage amount. So this is the mortgage amount, not the purchase price, but the amount that the buyer is loaning. Like how much are they loaning? How much are they getting? Are they borrowing? And this is the amount that I'm just plugging in as an example. The application. So 3 days after acceptance, it's basically saying that your buyer is going to act in good faith and actually submit an application and get this loan process going. They're not going to sit on this deal and just wait it out, continue to shop lenders, and they'll figure it out. No, it's like they need to get a lender in place, application filled out at least 3 days after the acceptance. So now that we have that, we'll go back and now do the closing. So we have May 18th as the date that the clients are going to get the mortgage by. And I would put a closing just a few days after that. So a few days after that is going to be, if we're on the 18th, we could do a closing of the 21st. So a closing of the 21st, that should give enough time. Again, a few days in between, a few days in between the contingency of the mortgage commitment and the closing is good enough. And right here, you're going to put the registry of deeds, okay? The registry, like the actual registry of deeds, you'll look it up. So if it's closing in Peabody, it's going to be the, and just look up the appropriate one, okay? Escrow is always going to be the listing brokerage. So you can put listing brokerage, not the actual, not typing in listed brokerage, but actually looking up the listing brokerage on the listing and typing that in. All right, so right here, just to go over it again. So where are we now that we jumped around a little bit? We did the purchase and sales, we got that. The closing, we have that. Escrow being the listing brokerage, inspection contingency, we have 5 to 7 days in there. And then we have, oh, we can't put both of these. So that's going to be this one here. I'm going to uncheck that first one. Mortgage contingency, it has to be, they have to have a commitment by this date. Everyone has a pre-approval. This is the date that the lender issues a full commitment saying that they're going to loan that money to the person, and then they set up closing docs and close. Okay, so no representations or acknowledgments. And then here in the additional terms is where you would put anything to be added into the property, appliances to remain, including washer and dryer. You're going to write that in. Seller to credit buyer $10,000 at closing for closing costs, prepaids, and escrow is the appropriate language to be added if you, and you could just substitute the 10,000 for anything it is, okay? So that's that. And if you have property to be delivered vacant, yes, you want to put that in there. Property to be delivered broom swept, that stuff can make its way into the purchase and sale, so don't worry about that. Property to appraise for sales price. Again, that's part of the mortgage contingency, so you don't necessarily have to put that in as well. And that's pretty much it. That's how you should write up an offer. And then once you write it up, of course, save it. And you can go into the category here and download all the pieces that you want to be a part of that offer. And it's going to download as one PDF, which is how most agents want to receive their offers attached to an email. So download it to your computer and then upload it into an email and send it off. You can arrange these in the order you want them to be seen in that one PDF. So if you want the offer, of course, to be first, then put the offer first. That's what you want. You don't want the lead paint form to be first or whatever. So make sure you have a full offer. Full offer consists of any attached documents on MLS, lead paint form, seller disclosure, and your mandatory agency disclosure, the offer, buyer's pre-approval or proof of funds, and a copy of the first deposit check. Okay. And as well as the inspection disclosure now. So all those will make up a full offer. Make sure you get those in and good luck on getting your offer accepted. We'll catch you guys in the next one.